something occurred this week during the most recent episode, Science Fiction, where we got an entire storyline that, for all intents and purposes, took place in a timeline or a branched timeline that no longer exists. Like literally the entire story by the end of it has been kind of wiped out. Loki goes off, he meets all these different variants, he gets the band back together as it were, brings them all into this one branch timeline with Obi, but ultimately learns how to control his time slipping and then goes right back to presumably the moment before the stuff hits the loom. You know what I mean? Like all of these experiences, all of these different characters and their journeys that they had with Loki, theoretically, no longer matter. Now, granted, I do want to just acknowledge the fact that, personally, I have a feeling we're going to return back to that moment on that branched timeline for a number of reasons that we'll get into with Loki TV Talk and that sort of thing. But for the most part, I just want to really talk about the structure of this episode and how Loki succeeded where the Flash failed. I know, it seems almost like a weird comparison, right? Except not really. So much about Loki is around time travel. Like everything that Loki is doing has to do with time travel. And for anybody who's a fan of The Flash, the series, you know that time travel plays a massive role in the narrative storytelling of that show. Loki has been pretty tight, all things considered, and The Flash, at moments, had tight storytelling around time travel. But specifically, I wanted to look at the episodes where something took place in a branched timeline for, let's just say, our main characters. And by the time the episode was over, it's like the entire episode didn't exist. In The Flash, there's an episode where Barry Allen travels to the future, and he sees what's going on, and we as an audience not only experience his story in living out this alternate future, but we also get the stories of a lot of different characters. The Atom and Allegra and Chester and all of these different characters at this point in the timeline are dealing with their own personal journeys. Atom has got his whole thing. He's trying to figure out whether or not he wants to be a crazy playboy, if he wants to settle down. He doesn't know. Allegra and Chester, will they, won't they? They will, and it's great. Or is it? Because by the end of the episode, it all gets eradicated and none of that actually happened because it was all in a branched timeline and Barry returns back home to do whatever it is he needs to do. We get a little bit of a preview of what's to come, you might argue, in that a lot of those things did happen. I mean, we never saw Adam again. And so I think for many of us, we felt a little cheated by the amount of time we gave to the episode for what was ultimately nothing, all the development for the characters, which went nowhere. Another kind of example of this is in the musical episode that Barry had with Supergirl. They're experiencing kind of this weird alternate reality, and we get these different characters with kind of alternate, musical Iris and her dads, and all of these different storylines are going on, and you get kind of the advancement of these characters that you never see again. And not only do you never see them again, they don't matter. None of this existed. Looking at Loki took this storytelling opportunity to reveal things about the characters we know that we never knew before in this little pocket universe, in this little pocket episode, showing us who they are, or rather who they were, kind of their deep motivations that are true to our main kind of prime versions of these characters. And most importantly, every single one of their interactions, for the most part, was about their interactions with Loki. They had their own, you could argue, little micro arcs in that, whether they're trying to escape from prison and then want to, and now I want to steal the temp pad so that I can go, pop over into some banks and rob things. Or I want to be a science fiction artist one day and I want to be a writer. I want everybody to read my stuff. Or if you're Hunter B15, they don't give you a story. I'll get into that on Loki TV Talk. But that notwithstanding, every single one of these characters, especially Mobius, their stories are connected to Loki. And it's all about Loki's journey of recognizing his desire for community, for friendship, for a true found family that he doesn't want to give up. Now, he does want to also save all of existence / not die. But ultimately, the episode and these variant characters serve the purpose of his own Loki, kind of our primary character's personal growth. And anything that's revealed about the characters is something that transitions over to the prime versions of them. We take that back with us. And let's just say they don't revisit this moment in time. Let's just pretend for a quick moment that this was it. That this episode was it, and we're not going to return there, and we didn't just see the origins of the TVA, even though it feels like we just saw the origins of the TVA. Let's just say that they go with that all of this was just a branch timeline and just kind of this moment for Loki to process his own emotions around things, as well as for us as an audience to understand all of these different characters and who they were before the TVA existed. It's a perfect way to use this storytelling device. And that's why Loki succeeds where the Flash failed.